Hello and good day everyone, my name is Christine and welcome to our special news report today. We are from Group 15 and today we'll be exploring one of the pressing issues in the global trade in the environmental governance of the maritime transport. Our report is based on an article titled of Competing Institutional Logics and Institutional Erosion in Environmental Governance of Maritime Transport that is written by Jason Moniz and out of K.Y. Ng that is published in the Journal of Transport Geography. So why does this matter? Well, let's have a deeper look. The maritime shipping carries about 80% of world trade by volume, yet it contributes nearly 3% of global greenhouse gases, similar to the entire country of Germany. The International Maritime Organization, or IMO, is tasked with regulating these emissions, but according to the author, the IMO is suffering from institutional erosion, or in other words, its legitimacy and authority has been weakened due to conflict interests. On the other hand, we have the business-as-usual logic that focuses on profit and efficiency, while the sustainability logic is pushing for a stronger climate action. Our report today will present both perspectives, the agreement and disagreement side, followed by expert analysis and recommendation for the future. So, to begin, let's go live with our correspondent named Mark, who will share the agreement side of the critique. So that's all for my part.
Thank you, Gui. I'm correspondent Mark, and now I'll be talking about the agreement side. From here, in front of the IMO, the challenges are evident. The authors argue, and I totally agree, that the IMO is experiencing a legitimacy crisis because of the failure to drive a meaningful environmental change. Oliver's 1992 theory of deinstitutionalization explains that the whale institution may lose their legitimacy when they cannot adapt under political, functional, or social pressure. The IMO fits this description. Take the case of the carbon pricing. Despite strong support from academics like Saraftis and Cosmas and Asiero, the IMO has repeatedly postponed adopting a robust market-based mechanism. Meanwhile, the emissions from shipping have continued to rise. In fact, the International Council on Clean Transportation, the ICCT, reported that between 2012 and 2018, shipping emissions increased by 10% despite ongoing negotiations. This shows the dominance of business-as-usual logic. Thornton and Ocasio argues that dominant logic constrains actors' ability to act differently. Here, the industry power dominates watering down sustainability measures. The result? A policy gridlock. The IMO talks about sustainability but rarely deliver decisive action, which in turn erodes trust from member states, NGOs, and civil society. In short, institutional erosion is real, and unless a major reform happens, the IMO risks losing its role as the global leader in maritime governance. But some argue that this picture is too pessimistic. For that, let's turn to Lex E, who will present the disagreement side.
Thank you, Mark. Well, the argument of institutional erosion is compelling. I would suggest it may, in fact, be overstated. The article portrays market-based mechanisms such as carbon pricing as largely ineffective, yet evidence from Europe points to a different reality. Research by Acero 2014 demonstrates that MBMs can successfully internalize carbon costs and incentive greener technologies. For instance, EU port that introduced differentiated port fee for cleaner vessels recorded a 15% increase in receipts from low emission ships. Scholars such as Greenwood 2011 and Real and Henning 2009 also remind us that institutional fields are rarely collapsed outright. Instead, they evolve through hybridity, where old and new logics coexist and gradually reshape governance structures. We are already witnessing this in practice. The EU emissions trading system will extend to shipping from 2024's recovering all large vessels entering EU ports. Meanwhile, major ports such as Rotterdam and Singapore alongside civil society actors, are implementing stricter green policy, signaling strong momentum even beyond the IMO framework. Taken together, this example suggests not institutional breakdown, but rather institutional reconfigurations are a gradual reshaping of governance through hybrid logics and regional leadership. To explore how these competing perspectives translate into a concrete solution, let's turn now to our expert analysis, Hao Xiang. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Leslie. To bridge this perspective, let's consider practical recommendations for reforming maritime governance. First, we need to multi-stakeholder participation. Currently, IMO negotiations are dominated by industry and member states, and to restore legitimacy, NGOs, scientists, and civil society must also have a stronger voice. Second, we must adopt binding climate goals. Voluntary commitments have proven effective. So binding targets such as mandatory carbon intensity reduction by 20 and 30 years need to enforce accountability, much like the Paris Agreement. Third, we should create transparent market-based mechanisms instead of abandoning carbon pricing. We need improved mechanism with clear monitoring and enforcement to ensure that funds rest support green fuel adoption and a just transition for workers. Fourth, we should reform IMO voting practice. At present, some voices carry disproportionate weight, and revising voting rules together with the creation of former advisory bodies could help balance power and reduce business dominance. Finally, there is space for future research. This includes exploring hybrid governance models, assessing new fields such as ammonia and hydrogen, and evaluating the socio-economic impacts on developing nations. These areas will shape the future of sustainable shipping. Now let's turn to Xiteng for the final wrap-up.
Thank you, Hao Xiang. To wrap up today's report, let's take a moment to recap the key insights we have covered. On the agreement side, the discussion highlighted the issue of institutional erosion at the IMO, where business as usual logic continued to dominate. The dominance had led to a gridlock and weak environmental action, slowing down the transition toward the sustainable shipping. On the disagreement side, however, we saw a different perspective. This side point out that the market-based measure and regional initiative, such as the EU's emission trading system, show that progress is being made. From this angle, what we are seeing is not stagnation but rather a gradual reconfiguration of institutional in response to climate changes. Our experts' analysis went further, suggesting several reforms that could bridge these gaps. Among them are inclusion of wider multi-stakeholder participation, the establishment of binding climate targets, the development of transparent and fair market-based measures, and ultimately, structural change within the IMO itself. The stake could not be higher. Without rapid and ambiguous decarbonization, projections show that the shipping emission may rise by as much as 50% by the year 2050 if left unchecked. Ultimately, the future of maritime governance rests on our ability to reconcile these two competing logics, business and sustainability, so that the shipping industry can take its rightful place in the global. On behalf of our Group 15, Christine, Mark, Lexi, Hao Xiang, and myself, Xiteng, thank you for watching our report. We truly hope this sparked reflection and meaningful discussion on how governance model must evolve to meet the climate imperative more effectively. Goodbye and until next time.